श्रीराजोवाच येन येनावतारेण भगवान् हरिरीश्वरः करोति कर्णरम्याणि मनोज्ञानि च नः प्रभो यच्छृण्वतोऽपत्यारतिर्वितृष्णा सत्वं च शुद्ध्यात्यचिरेण पुंसः भक्तिर्हरौ तत्पुरुषे च साङ्ख्यम् तदेव हारं वद मन्यसे चेत्। Raja Parikshit said to Shukadeva ji that all the various activities exhibited by the incarnations of the Supreme Lord are certainly pleasing to the ear and to the mind. Simply by one's hearing of these activities, all the impurities of mind immediately vanish. Generally, we are reluctant to hear about the activities of the Lord, but Krishna's childhood activities are so attractive that they are automatically pleasing to the mind and ear. Thus, one's attachment for hearing about material things, which is the root cause of material existence, vanishes. So, if you think it fit, kindly speak about those activities of the Lord to me. When Mother Yashoda's baby, the little Krishna, rolled over on his own for the first time, there was great jubilation indeed. This was marked the day when his astrological signs and future were to be read. Various saints have said that the Lord had just turned 3 months old then, and there were grand festive celebrations and a huge crowd had gathered at Nanda Baba's home. Yashoda Ma performed her son's abhishekam or anointment with a sacred bath on this day. Brahmins were chanting mantras and everything was going perfect. She gave lavish gifts and donations to all the Brahmins, including many things that they desired. When she saw that her child was feeling drowsy, she put him to sleep and placed him under a cart. In India, villagers anchored their carts, hang a wide cloth bag under the cart, and place their babies in the bag to nap. Or they spread a cloth under the cart near the wheel and put their baby down for a nap on that cloth. Yashoda Ma did the latter, and on top of the cart, various materials including milk and curd were kept. There was an asura named Hiranyaksha, and he had a son. This son had been cursed by Lomarsha Rishi to become devoid of a physical body and was known as Shakatasura. Shakata means cart or carriage. So this Shakatasura entered the cart under which Mother Yashoda's baby, the little Krishna, lay. After a short while, the little baby was hungry. He woke from sleep and started crying. Yashoda ji was very busy welcoming and entertaining her guests, so she did not hear him. And seeing this, her little baby, the little Krishna, became very angry. And just as babies cry and thrust their legs when they are angry for they want something, he too started crying and kicking his legs upward and sometimes downward. At one point, his foot kicked the cart, and the entire cart turned upside down. All the pots of milk and yogurt and everything else that was on the cart spilled everywhere. When the cart was broken, the jarring and thunderous boom startled everyone. They looked around to see what had happened. When they discovered the overturned cart, they kept in astonishment. Some little children always stayed around Bhagavan because children always like to be around other children. They had been playing near the cart. They said that the baby had been crying and his foot had kicked the cart and knocked it over, shattering it to pieces. All the elders looked at these little children in sheer disbelief. For adults are typically over-rational. They thought, how could this tiny baby with his tiny feet even reach the cart? The children insisted, but we saw it with our own eyes. The baby kicked the cart. The adults considered themselves too intelligent and simply refused to believe the children's story. Now, the symbolic meaning of the cart shattering is that after one has removed ignorance, Putana stands for ignorance, one then has to remove materialism. Shakatasura stands for materialism. The cart was inert. All the milk products on it were inert. Bhagavan, who is pure consciousness, who is Brahman, had been placed under the cart to sleep. Do we not repeatedly devalue consciousness and give greater value to the material objects in our life? We tend to value a person based on how much wealth he has or from which family he comes. Consciousness in that person becomes secondary. We give more importance to inert objects and put them on a higher level, as if a person's life and substance does not matter at all. And this happens in this world. But Bhagavan does not like it. One of the objectives of Bhagavan manifesting was to uproot materialism. It was as if he said, I, consciousness, Brahman, the Satchidananda Vigraha, have come here and you have kept me down below. This is why Bhagavan overturned the cart and how Shakatasura was destroyed. In the same way, when Bhagavan manifests in our heart, our ignorance is destroyed and the powerful influence of inert objects is removed. Thus, we get escaped from the trap of materialism. Hare Krishna.
One day, after feeding her beloved child, Yashodama took him in her arms and caressed him with love. Ekada rohamarudham lalayam te sutam sati Garimanam Shishorvodhum Nase Girikutavat. Shukadevaji said, all of a sudden, for some unknown reason, he became extremely heavy. Yashodama could not fathom why her baby was getting heavier and heavier. When she was unable to hold him any longer, she placed him on the floor. दैत्यो नाम्ना तृणावर्तः कंसभृत्या प्रणोदितः चक्रवातस्वरूपेण जहारासीनमर्भकम्. It was then that another henchman, sent by Kamsa, arrived in the form of a cyclone. When the darkness of a cyclone sweeps over the land, it sucks into it every object it can. As this kind of storm develops, you can see the powerful vortex it creates. This asura, who had come in the form of a cyclone, was named Trinavarta. Bhagavan wanted to give moksha to him as well. It is important to note that this divine play of the Lord slaying asuras is not to glorify his valor. It is to glorify his sweetness, his love. After all, what extraordinary valor is there in the Lord slaying asuras? With the kick of a tiny foot, he crushed Shakatasura. By merely drinking her milk, he destroyed Putana. What great glory is in this? These are in fact examples of the Lord's sweet compassion, for he liberated these asuras. Trinavarta blew into Gokula with full force and swept Yashoda's baby into the sky with him. When they were quite high up, Bhagavan grabbed the demon's throat and began to strangle him. The demon's strength was rapidly becoming weaker because he was unable to bear the Lord's weight. He was also unable to free himself from the incredibly tight hold of this wondrous baby. This is a speciality of the Lord. Once he takes hold of someone, he does not let him go. So, this is why we should tell Bhagavan, please hold me, Bhagavan, by any means whatsoever. The Lord then squeezed Trinavarta's throat so tightly that his life breath left him and he fell to the earth with a deafening sound. In the violent storm that the demon had raised, no one had been able to see anything through the whirling wind, dust and leaves. Not seeing her child where she had placed him, Yashoda Maya was fraught with worry. Everyone still had dirt in their eyes and nothing was visible to them. When the winds finally calmed, everything became quiet. They all went closer to see what had crashed with such a loud boom. They discovered it was the dead body of an asura. And they saw their tiny blue boy dangling from the demon's neck, giggling and playing happily. Everyone was relieved and said, "Thank God, he is safe." They all always thought that it was because of their prayers, pujas, chanting, austerities, and anointments that the child was being saved every time. Mother Yashoda rushed to him and showered him with love. She smelled his head and smothered him with kisses. She then quickly fed him milk and put him to sleep. Now, who was Trinavarta? Trinavarta is the symbol of desire. As long as there is ignorance, that is avidya, and thereby inertia, that is materialism, Trinavarta appears in due course and blows dust into our eyes. It means that he fills our mind with agitations and spreads the cloak of delusion all around us. The significance of the redemption of Trinavarta is that every seeker must conquer the innate tendency of desire. Hare Krishna,